Hello YouTube, this is Afro Man from Team Island MTG. I'm here with a new series that we're going to do here. I actually had to build a couple decks out of scraps for just playing around with friends, and so I came up with a blue-white tempo deck, and I've got a red-green Blood Rush deck, and both of those are slowly going to be edited and evolved every week on with our channel. I'm probably just going to budget myself $20 each a deck, and I can only spend that much and no more on editing these decks. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into this one. We're going to start out with a full playset of Triton Shorestalker, because it's unblockable damage that usually piles up if they don't have early game removal. That's 2 points a turn, which really adds up. I like Sajiri Merfolk because of the... that's really why I splashed white, was for First Strike and Lifelink. We've got Pacifism, which is really cool. It's a super good tempo move because it just kind of neutralizes guys. Same thing with Turn to Frog. That usually helps when we have spells that are... or when... Yeah, it usually helps when we have spells that use -1, -0, or we need to just chump out a huge guy with a small guy. Stormfront Pegasus actually was a new addition. I actually just edited this deck one last time from the pool of cards. This initially wasn't in there to start, but I'm glad it's in there now. The early game flying is important. We've got Force Away and Unsummon, which essentially do the same thing, and that's getting rid of big guys at instant speed. So if somebody hits us with like a super pumped guy, we just throw it back to their hand. We've got Tome Scour and Thought Scour for early game disruption. Thought Scour actually lets us draw a card, so I'm okay with that. We've got Illusory Angel, which is a 4/4 for 3, and usually we can get that extra spell off because of all of our very many 1-drops, so we'll probably actually just call that a 4-drop, but the 4/4 is great. We actually didn't have a finisher before that. Attended Knight is good. She's a 2/2 for 3 with First Strike, which is bonkers by itself, but she leaves behind a 1/1 guy, which is really good. Paralyzing Grasp just slows down our opponent by dropping or neutralizing threats. Oblivion Ring is really good because it actually exiles cards, so that's really important that it's exiling cards. Divination is just card draw. We're not going to harp on that one too much. 3-drop. Next we hit Maritime Guard, which is usually a pretty good blocker, and we've got Negate, 2 of each at the 2-drops. We've got 2 Into the Royal, which is just like Force Away, but you can kick it for 2 extra and draw a card. Scroll Thief for card draw. We've got 2 of those. There we go. Merfolk Looter, card draw. Azorious Arrestor and Leyev Decree, both just to detain. We're not really worried about their other or any other purpose for either of those cards. Silvercoat Lion is just a 2/2 for 2. It's a big white bear. And we've got a cancel. Into the mana base, we've got Azorious Guildgate because mana fixing is pretty good. We've got 2 Evolving Wilds, 2 Transmorphic Expanse because, you know, fetches are for losers. We've got 2 Halimar Depths just because we like the anticipate with the land. I'll probably actually end up putting a couple Citadel or Cascade, that blue land from Battle for Zendikar. Skyline Cascade, where you tap down a guy. That would be really good in this tempo deck. And then we've got 7 plains and 8 islands to round out our main board. Then we move into the side. We've got a Thought Scour. Dispel Aerial Formation is pump. We might board that in against other pump decks, or other tempo decks, other aggro decks, or just somebody who doesn't have very many blockers where we can just pump where we need to, and we have a lot of extra mana late game to finish it off. It goes great with the Shorestalkers. Hydro Surge just kind of gives us an extra turn, slows things down. Disdainful Stroke and another copy of Cancel. We've got 2 Hubris. We get to return target creature to their hand. We're not really worried about the auras. Uncovered Clues is really good. We get to fetch out instants and sorceries, and really just kind of looking through the top cards. Prohibit is really cool. I don't know if I like it or not. It's a 2-mana counter spell for small spells, or I could kick it for 4 and do the same thing as Disdainful Stroke, but hit smaller things. So that's why it's in the board, because it might be important. Jace's Ingenuity, card draw, not going to harp on that too long. Memory Lapse is another counterspell that I actually didn't know existed until I went through this box. And it's kind of like Remand, but it's, it's pretty much Remand, but it goes back to the top of their library. And 2 more Divination. This deck actually, if you're going to go buy, this exact deck, you're probably going to spend at the most $20 on TCG Player, including shipping, and probably sleeves too. So feel free to play along with us. We're going to budget $20 a week to edit this deck and the Gruul deck, and we will upload gameplay soon, and we'll be right back at you.